Hello there, this is Alana Tuckey, lead faculty for Math 131, and I wanted to give you a little bit more guidance for project number 2 before I sent you upon your merry way. So, namely, I wanted to help you a little bit with making scattergrams and adding trend lines. So down here, we need to download our data, organize that data, and I showed you how to do that in the last video. That's where you make the table of data to replicate what you saw online, and then you have your t-value that you'll have to fill in some numbers in there. And if you remember from a previous video, I taught how to do this using a formula. So I took cell A2, take away 1990, and then if you click up there and you just kind of drag it down, then it'll fill it in for you. Now I set 1990 as my starter year. You have to pick your own starter year for your problems because the data sets are all going to be a little bit different. And then I just moved my cursor so it turned into that bottom. See, if you get to the bottom corner, that's called the handle, and it turns into a plus sign, and then you just click with your left mouse button, hold it down, and drag down. It fills it out. So if you hadn't seen that before, it's kind of snazzy, and it helps fill out stuff really quickly. All right, then it wants you to make scattergrams. So I'm just going to do this for the same data set that I did for the video for project 1, which is I have some heights and arm spans here for all my favorite cartoon characters. So what you do to make a scattergram is you highlight the data you're interested in, and you go to Insert, and then we want a scattergram, so you go to the Scatter. You want that top left one, and there it is. Now you're going to play around with this quite a bit. So you delete the legend, you don't really need it. And then you can do all sorts of things, like let's say I want to click on layout. I'm going to add my axes titles. So I would add down here, well, I'll just leave it up to you, right? So you fill out whatever's appropriate for your axis, and then you do the same thing for the other one. So I'll let you ponder what that would be. And then you're going to need a title up here. So in this case, it would be heights versus arm span, or of cartoon characters, stuff like that. Of course, every problem is going to have a different title, so you just have to modify it. Now, if you like, you can actually add in, you can make it bigger, by the way. See how I did that? I just kind of swelled it to a larger size. You move your cursor down here so it becomes that kind of double-sided arrow, and then you can shrink it, swell it, do all sorts of things. Let's say I like the scale, but I'm not really fond of this whole starting at 0 over here. So if I right-click, I can format, well, first of all, I can add major grid lines, add minor grid lines. It'll make it kind of prettier, makes it more like a grid. And then I can go to Format the Axis, and I can say, look, I don't want to start at 0, I want to start at 20 for this data set. And let's see. I want my minor grid lines to be fixed at 5, say, for example. And then I can add in, oopsie, it made the major grid lines 5, so that's fine. I can make these 1 for the heck of it. Or not. I can just leave those off. I just hit Control Z and it goes away. If you want to play around with the colors of the points, you can do that in the design menu if you want to just do a quick thing. Or you can fiddle around with it by right-clicking and seeing, let's see, select the data. Oop, not that. That's another thing I want to do. Format the data series. There it is. Marker fill, I can click solid. I can change the color to whatever I so desire. Like I'm going to make it green, dark green. There we go. Close. Okay. Now the other thing to notice, let's say I want to make my titles bold. I just click, my axes bold. So I just clicked on that, and then I click down here and bold it. Now it's nice and pretty. And that's pretty good. I mean, you can fiddle around with these for a long time. You can make it all sorts of colorful, but you want to make it legible and easy for your instructor to read, right? Okay, then here's where the fun begins. So what you do is you highlight the graph. So notice if I click off the graph, then all those menu options disappear. I click back on it. I can hit Control and C, or if I can go to the home screen and just click copy. Then I click off the graph and I hit Control V and I've pasted it. And now I've got another one. And I can do it again. Control V, pasted it. So I'm going to have 3 graphs, and I can kind of move them around however I like. So I'll move this one down, I'll move this one over. Good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add a trend line to each of these. So you click on the data points. See how all the little data points are selected? And you can see over here that it's selected all those data points. That's why there's a little blue box around it. You right click and you click Add Trendline. And let's say I want to do the linear one first. So I'm going to click Linear, and I want to display the equation and display r squared. So you want to check these two boxes down here. And there it is. You can move it over. It's right now a 10-point font, so you can make it 14-point font. You can bold it if you so desire. Whatever makes you happy. All right, and then you're going to do it again. Right click, Add Trendline. This time I'm going to do exponential. Display the equation, display the r squared. And again, don't forget that the computer does the e to the part for the exponential. So you're going to have to find b as one of the problems in your student submissions packet. And the way you do that is take e to that decimal power. Find what that number is. That'll be your b for your base. And then you just go down here and do it again. Add trend line. Polynomial, we want order 2. That's degree 2. You want a second degree polynomial. Display your equation, display your r squared. And again, I like these to be bold and a little bit bigger so that they're a little bit more legible. My eyesight's going, I guess. Oopsie, go do that. And there you go. And then it would be smart, I think they mention it in the instructions that you have to change these. So this is with a linear model, just to kind of title what you're doing here. This one's with an exponential model. You don't have to write the word with, I suppose. And down here, double click, oopsie, not double click, there. Click inside that title, and with quadratic model. And there you go. Now you've got your 3 models. Now you have to print all this stuff out. So how do you do that? Well, you want to do a couple things. So one, you probably want this to be good sized font. Notice I made this 18-point font, and that way when I print it won't be super tiny. You can see the point font up here. So, and if you want, you can make it pretty. I've got borders around all of this. I did that with the little border icon right here. And then I made this part gray. I'd actually like to bold that. And I think I want all this centered. There we go. That's kind of prettier. All right, now what you can do is, well, let me show you. If you just go to File and Print, it's going to be kind of a mess because it's just printing the spreadsheet like it sees it. So half that graph is there and half that graph is there, which is not really attractive. So what you can do instead is use your mouse and kind of highlight the table. Then go to File, Print, and you want to, instead of printing all the active sheets, you want to print the selection. See right there? Print selection. And then you would just click, select your printer and print, right? And there would be your table. And then go back to Home. You can click on the graph, like I'll click on the linear model graph, go to File, Print, and there you can see it'll print it in a landscape just like I'd like. And of course, you'll have some titles here that would be appropriate, and a chart title that would be much more appropriate than height and arm span. So you click Print, and then you go back, click on the next graph, File, Print. All right, now it wants to do that as letter. I don't want that. So I'm going to click from portrait orientation to landscape orientation. For the graphs, the way I've got them drawn, that'll be better with landscape. And then I would click Print, and I would go back and do it again. Quadratic, File, Print. And again, it did that portrait thing, so I'm going to go down here to landscape. That's better for me. And print. And there you go. And that's how you do it. That's how you make 3 different types of models. You get all your different r squareds and how to print every single one of them and how to print your table. Of course, you will have to replicate all of this for your own data set. Don't forget that the b for the exponential model is going to be a bit different. So you have to write down that version with the Euler's number, e, and then you'll have to find b. And I don't think we need anything else. Let me double check that. No, we're pretty good. All right, good luck with your project, and I hope you enjoy it.